Well, good Tuesday morning, Taco Tuesday, friends. Mark Holmes here, of course, with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So let's get open for business here and let's wake up the football gods. How you doing? I hope all your taco dreams come true today, because it is, of course, Taco Tuesday. And today also, though, for 5 players on the Dallas Cowboys, by 4 o'clock, the Dallas Cowboys, like every other team in the NFL, has to get down to the 80-man roster. Last year, we actually had a little bit of a reprieve because of COVID. There was an exemption that if players were out because of COVID, they didn't count against the roster cuts. So it kind of gave the Cowboys a little extra room last year. Well, this year, that's not the case. We will let you know who are the players that are cut when those cuts do actually happen. But interesting, we have an interesting rumor shared to me last night by Damn Gina. Apparently, the rumor is that Cardinals wide receiver Andy, Isabella. Andy Isabella, who's going to be released. There may be interest by the Ravens, the Bears, and of course the Cowboys. Now, I say this, I preface this in saying that it seems like, of course, there's interest for the Cowboys in any player that's released, interest by the media because, of course, they want to go ahead and have a story to talk about. A little bit about Andy Isabella. For the Cardinals last year, he had 1 catch for 13 yards, 13-yard average, not a bad average. The year before, he had 21 catches for 224 yards, 10.7, and his rookie year, he had 9 catches for 189 yards. Journeyman wide receiver or future journeyman wide receiver, but I'm not going to poo-poo on anybody because there's been times when the Cowboys have signed people and we've pretty much gone, oh, Cowboys don't care about winning. Here we go with the bargain basement bin. And, you know, say what you will about David Irving, a guy who they signed off of the Kansas City practice squad. He had very impactful games for the Cowboys. If he had had the mentality and the desire to really want to be a great football player, he would have been a great one. Fortunately, he didn't really care that much about playing football. And it's actually sad when you have players that have all kinds of God-given talent, and you look at them and saying they could be a Hall of Famer, a guy like Rolando McClain, but just kind of waste their opportunities. You know, they can just kind of go out there and play because they're good, but never spend the time to become that great player that is, you know, one of the great ones. So we'll see if anything happens on there, but this will be the beginning of the time where the Cowboys are going to start looking at the waiver wires, because there will be players out there that they will deem guys that can help, especially next week when the teams have to get down to the final roster cuts and so on. So we'll be monitoring that, of course, throughout the day. The Cowboys, you know, it's amazing that for the most part, the talking heads have just bypassed the Cowboys' play this past weekend. They literally have not said anything about it that, hey, the Cowboys turned it around, they played better, they showed a few things, there's a little bit more hope on there. The week before, they killed us for every single thing that, you know, oh my God, they're terrible. You know, they stink. The Commanders are better. The Eagles are better. Yesterday was kind of the day of Dak Prescott's got more pressure on him than anybody else. Cowboys, can they do it? Why isn't it we didn't say, you know, the Cowboys actually looked a little bit better. Cowboys defense could be kind of scary. Their front line playing a lot better. Guy like Tristan Hill, who we thought was going to be cut, now all of a sudden looks like a baller. We didn't hear any of that. But that's okay. That's why you come here to YouTube, because we give you the whole skinny on everything that is. An interesting take. I learned something this morning. I'm going to play this from First Take. Hopefully the Disney gods don't get us on this. But it was Michael Irving, of course, with Stephen A. Smith. And Michael Irving brought up something that is very, very, I didn't know this, and I'm usually a numbers guy, and I should have actually looked at this. But this could bode very, very well for Ceedee Lamb. Let's listen in.
Biggest key for the Cowboys if they're going to have a successful season?
Man, listen, I went over this and thought deep about this, you know, and I love that we are a big basic run team and want to talk to run. But the reality here is this has to be, get what I'm saying here, a minimum of a 1,600-yard season for Ceedee Lamb.
What?
In order for if the Dallas Cowboys are going to do what they need to do this year. I liken it to this, Stephen A. and Molly. I went back to the 95 season when we lost Alvin Harper. I remember my mindset going into every game because I know Alvin was no longer here. I said, man, I gotta walk away every game with 100 yards. I really thought that, and that's the way I went in every game. The first 8 or 9 games, I had like 8 or 9 100. 8 of 9 of the first 100-yard games. 100-yard games, 8 or 9 first games. Ceedee Lamb has to have this mentality. He has to go through these games. He has to have a mentality of getting 100 yards per game as he entered this game for this Cowboys offense to take off. Now, Stephen A., there's this thing called a third-year takeoff for 88s.
Third-year takeoff.
Drew Pearson went 9 TDs on his third year. He took off 9 TDs. Dez Bryant in his third year, over 1,300 yards, 1,382 to be exact, 12 touchdowns. He had 12 touchdowns in his third year. Now, the playmaker right here in his third year. Now, you got to remove my second because I told my knee was out. I led the league with 1,523 yards. This is Ceedee Lamb's third year. I am calling upon my 88 clubber to come up with 1,600 yards. That's the biggest key to the Dallas Cowboys.
1,600 yards.
Where they need to be.
Okay, that's really nice. That's cute. I got a couple of questions before I go into my soliloquy. You brought up Drew Pearson, right? Did you bring up Drew Pearson?
Yes, I did.
Who was the quarterback?
Yes, I did.
Who was the quarterback?
Oh, Roger Staubach. Roger the man.
Hold up. You brought up yourself. Who was the quarterback?
Absolutely.
Oh,
my man, Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman.
And now we get to Dak Prescott. All right, good luck with that. Good luck with that. Okay, that's really nice. That's really nice. But, you know, I like that. But then we talk about Roger Staubach and Troy Aikman. We ain't talking about, I mean, that's a different class right now. You got to win more than one playoff game, okay? That's number one. Number two, here's the deal. Who was the coach? Roger Staubach, who's the coach? That'd be Tom Landry.
Oh, Tom Landry.
That's right.
Tom Landry. One of the greatest to ever do it. One of the greatest to ever do it.
With you and Troy Aikman, who's that coach? Who's that coach?
My man Jimmy Johnson, one of the greatest to ever do it. One of the greatest to ever do it.
So we got Tom Landry. We got Jimmy Johnson. We got Mike McCarthy.
He won a Super Bowl.
Whatever. The point is, listen to what I'm trying to say to you. There's levels to this, all right? There's levels to this, all right? Okay, all I'm trying to say is that I'm not questioning Dak Prescott's ability. I'm not questioning Mike McCarthy's ability. I'm talking about this is what their resume is in Dallas. And so when you think about Ceedee Lamb, particularly with Amari Cooper going, particularly with Michael Gallup injured, now that's going to put more pressure on Ceedee Lamb. And more importantly, teams are going to get the key on Ceedee Lamb. And so you never know.
I knew you were going there.
Hold on. Then I think about an old story that the late, great Kobe Bryant talked about when you went up against stars from opposing team and you had, you know, that second-tier star that was right there with them. What you would do is you would do everything you could to deny that dude the ball because guess what? They would get frustrated and it would cause friction. You got a situation right now in Dallas. When you look at Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, this is a pivotal year. They're trying to write his epitaph. We all know this. Ezekiel Elliott needs to know this. Tony Pollard didn't start one game for them last year. Ezekiel Elliott started all 17. He had 1,002 yards. He averaged 4 yards a carry, over 4 yards a carry. But Tony Pollard still had 700-plus rushing yards, all right? Nearly half the carries. And, oh, by the way, not only was that the case, he was averaging 5.5 yards a carry. So he's looking to get his shine. What I'm saying to you, Ezekiel Elliott is the key because
I have to agree on that one.
Listen, he's gone down in carries every year over the last 4 years, from 304 to 301 to 244 to like 237 last year. He's going down and they counting him out. If you don't run the football effectively, if there's not chemistry, cohesiveness, and a dedication to the run game, that's going to put more pressure on Dak Prescott who's bereft of the weapons
Right.
that he had over the last few years. And so your strategy, while admirable, and I can see where you're coming from, if you don't have the running game, then ultimately that strategy is going to be down the drain. It's going to cost y'all everything. You got to be able to run that damn football. This comes down to Ezekiel Elliott.
And listen,
I have to agree with that.
And you got to put, no doubt the running game is very important. But when it comes to CeeDee's ability to play inside and out is very important in this situation because they'll try to focus on him. Listen, CeeDee's first season, he went inside 90% of the time in the slot, and he was second in the team in receptions. And then last season, he was 60%. He was 60% outside, and he led the team in both catches and receptions. So he has an ability, and I've said this before because I think Ceedee Lamb is as talented as all the 88s have been. He has the ability to play inside and outside. I think he has that talent. But I think he'll have to be able to pull both out to be able to hide from those defenses because, as you said, he's going to see those teams key on him, and he'll have to play both sides.
The game was different in the 70s. When you played, you were a bigger receiver than he is. And number 3, and more importantly, the 2 years Ceedee Lamb has been on the field, he has had assistance. He's had, Schultz is going to still be there, but Amari Cooper, I mean, that matters.
Yeah,
that matters. Michael Gallup, that matters. All right, Cedric Wilson, that matters. Okay, you don't have that now. And so when you don't have that now, that's putting more pressure. So to say that Dak Prescott needs to do X, Y, and Z, and that Ceedee Lamb's got to have 16 plus 100 yards, okay, in order for this to be a successful season for the Dallas Cowboys. I'm saying I have no problem with your strategy because I think that leads to them losing, not winning.
And they lost.
They got to run the football.
And they lost 2 starting linemen as well. Let's not forget that.
I know you're not saying it. I'm saying it. I'm telling you they ain't winning.
I'm certainly not saying that.
I'm telling you they ain't winning.
I'm certainly not saying that.
I'm saying foolhardy strategy you just threw out there.
No. I'm calling on 88 to do what he has to do, and I believe 88 will do what he has to do. And I'm telling you that they have no ability to stop him because he can play inside and outside, and we're about to see a great season out of 88. That's what I'm telling you.
Training camp.
All right. Okay. Interesting take. The power of 88. And for Stephen A. Smith, mind you, he was talking about Troy Aikman. Well, going into that season that he threw 1,500 yards to Michael Irving, he didn't have a playoff win. In fact, he had never been to the playoffs. Just kind of putting that out there. That was the first playoff win that the Cowboys got with Troy Aikman, that 1,500-yard season. The funny thing is, just like nobody's repeated in the NFC East the last 17 years. Well, nobody will repeat until somebody does. It's kind of like the Eagles. Well, you could say the Eagles, they can't win a Super Bowl because they hadn't won one for 50 years until they did. So saying that Dak Prescott just he's not, okay, yeah, he doesn't have the Super Bowl wins. But, he hasn't had the doomsday defense until now. And, Troy Aikman was helped out by the Doomsday 2 defense as well. We'll see how this goes, but you can't go ahead and predict and say Dak Prescott will never boom because you don't know. If you looked at 2 years ago and said Matthew Stafford is never going to win a Super Bowl, well, he went to the right team that had everything that he needed, and he got it. So that's what I got to get started for this morning. And we're going to be tonight. We'll probably start at about 7:30, but 8 o'clock is our first live stream for our fantasy draft. We'll be doing League One, and we'll probably be doing, I'll check with Corey and people, maybe doing another one tomorrow and Thursday and so on, to go ahead and get our leagues together for fantasy football. If you are still interested, go to jobufantasy@gmail.com, send Corey and say, hey, I want to be part of the leagues and stuff. I think we have 5 leagues right now, so definitely get there and do that. One final note here. It's amazing how easy Eagles get triggered. Watching the Eagles defense, again, this was backup players and stuff. This wasn't the regular guys that they have. But I tell you what, they reminded me of the Cowboys defense of 2020 because I see them giving up on a whole lot of plays. But I'll have more on that a little bit later. I will definitely have more on that later because for all the Eagle fans that think that we've got all of these great players that we've signed and think that that automatically means that you're going to be a great team, doesn't work out that way always. But we'll see. You know you'll be bringing the hate, and you know I'll be throwing it right back at you. But we will be definitely talking to you guys a little bit later, and have a great Taco Tuesday.
Our folks here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the show for the Sports Report.
You did one hell of a job, and the only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys?